Well, friends and family, it's time for us to have a little talk. This has been, for many Nuggets fans, an extremely frustrating part of the season. Really a frustrating season with all the injury. But hey, there's good news. On your left, Jokic and Murray, there is help on the way. Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon reportedly will be back, hopefully within the next week, and the Denver Nuggets hopefully can get back. Also, Spencer Jones, and see if they can get back on track. They have a game versus the Utah Jazz tonight that is obviously a must-win given the two-game slide that they're on. But I think we got to get into some of the details that happened in this Minnesota game. We got to talk about some of the things that happened in the OKC game. David Adelman has to get some stuff fixed. Jokic got to get back to normal. But y'all, as Jamal Murray was telling everybody and waiting and listening, things will get better, y'all. Let's get to it. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. I'm your host, Swiper, here to talk to you about the Minnesota Timberwolves and OKC losses. And also, we're going to get into some of the things that are derailing the team right now and just what David Adelman needs to get fixed, not only from a rotation standpoint, but I believe in some of his process and his approach to the game. Also, Nikola Jokic, since he's been back, we're not getting the normal Nikola Jokic. Obviously, Jokic has not been as great as we know him to be, but hopefully there are signs that the improvement is here and that he will get back to normal here very shortly. But y'all know what it is, y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a 5-star review on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. Let's get into it, y'all. So the Denver Nuggets, the last two games, they lose in epic ways. Y'all, the Nuggets, man, they found themselves in two very, very good situations early. The Nuggets, when they played versus OKC, they held OKC to 21 points in the first quarter. That was the second least amount of points that OKC had scored in an opening quarter the entire season. The defense was playing on a string. They were connected. The offense was flying around. They looked like they were ready for the moment. It looked like the team was carrying over a lot of the energy that they had in the Boston Celtics game into the next game. And it was like, you know what, Denver? Good. They're ready to go to work. And what proceeded to happen after that is they went to their no Jokic, no Jamal Murray bench. And in this situation, the Nugget offense completely fell apart. And on top of that, their defense disappeared. And so what it looked to be, which was a good opportunity to get a win and have an extended lead, it turned into something completely different. And what's frustrating about this, y'all, is the Nuggets are doing all of this work to build all this momentum, but somehow, some way, they keep finding themselves in these holes. Y'all, the Nuggets at one point got up 22-13. Jokic gets Jay Will in the post, and he makes a nice little midi shot over him that banks off the glass. The Nuggets then get a three from Christian Brown. Y'all, the Nuggets were up 27-13 in the first quarter versus OKC. They held the OKC Thunder with Shea on the floor to 0 points over 6 minutes and 20 seconds. For a 6 minute and 20 second stretch, they held OKC to 0 points. And so I'm sitting here, I'm saying, all right, they're playing engaged, they're playing defense, they're doing all of the things they need to do. But suddenly, they end the quarter, and it's like, all right, the Nuggets got a great lead. Tim Hardaway Jr. made another corner three. The Nuggets were up 33-19. Was it 19, matter of fact? I always think it was 21. It was 33-19. My fault. They actually had a 33-19 lead at the end of the first quarter. Like, I was genuinely extremely impressed with Denver. Impressed with their process. They were guarding. They were rotating. They were communicating. And, shout out to Jokic. Jokic was getting people involved. He wasn't shooting the ball super well, but like just even the gravity that he had, he was finding guys constantly. And OKC was having difficulties on a lot of those split actions that Denver is running between Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. But then, as I stated, the Nuggets started the second quarter with Tim Hardaway Jr., Spencer Jones, Bruce Brown, Cam Johnson, and Jonas Valanciunas. And literally, right away, within 2 minutes, the Denver Nuggets just let go of any and every single aspect of the momentum they had. And I absolutely think David Adelman has a lot to answer for when it comes to his rotations as of recent. Y'all, in that brief 5 minutes and 56 seconds that Jokic sat in that OKC game, Jonas Valanciunas was a minus 12. They were getting obliterated at the top of that second quarter. There was no identity. They weren't putting any pressure. SGA came in the game and made 10 straight baskets. 10 straight points. And they had no counter on the offensive end. And on top of that, they were turning the ball over. So they weren't getting good looks. They weren't getting good shots. And then on the defensive end, SGA at this point started getting it going. And it's like, all right, Adelman, like the score is 33-23. Things are definitely headed south. They're headed south. And then now, scramble play, Jay Will gets a drive by Cam Johnson, who runs out. Tim Hardaway Jr. is sitting there. Jamal Murray's in the game. He's lost on, and he's ball watching Jay Will, loses track on a rotation, and then Lou Dort makes the three, and now it's 35-31. SGA then drives by Jamal. It's 40-36. And it's just kind of like now Jokic has to get back in the game and get everything settled again. And so what's happening as of recent is that for whatever reason, Denver has been unable to maintain an identity without Jokic being directly involved in the game. And that's not how it was. And this is not even like a touches thing. It's just even when he's not in the game, they have just not been as consistent and salient as we know them to be. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what the thing is, because basketball is about momentum, you all. Everything is about momentum. And so when you watch this game versus OKC, is they have the momentum and then they lose it. And, I've talked about this numerous times, but Adelman in this idea, and I know he did it versus the Wolves. We'll get into the Wolves game here in a little bit. I know David Adelman tried Zeke Naji, but the thing that I continue to press about this team is, especially with Jokic and especially with Val, these are not great vertically inclined centers. That is not a misnomer. Everybody knows this. Jokic is not a great rim protector in the regular season, and Jonas Valanciunas is obviously not a great rim protector. Now, Jonas is having a decent rim protecting season, funny enough. But they don't have the athletes. They don't have athletes at the center position where you can just do whatever and put whoever out there. You have to be conscious of how you're putting people on the floor and how you're using them. So like I said, for me, y'all, it's as simple as the Nuggets have to continue to find ways to use size around these athletes. And it hurt them badly in the OKC game that when Shea's on the floor and Chet's on the floor and iHeart's on the floor and Jay Will's on the floor, if you play small, you're going to get beat. If you don't play with athletes, you're going to get beat. And I know that, Jonas Valanciunas has had a lot of really good moments this year. It's no diss to Jonas, but everything is about matchups. Everything is about matchups, and everything is about momentum. And in this game, it is inexcusable For Jokic to be a plus 15 in this game versus OKC, and for him to sit down and Jonas Valanciunas in 8 minutes and 30 seconds is a minus 21. It should have been clear and obvious that this is not a Jonas game, and that you need to put your athletes out there, including Zeke and Deron Holmes. Now, again, those are young players. Those are players you don't fully trust. I hear you, and I get it. But everything is about styles making fights. And Jonas, in particular, has not been a good style makes fights player versus the OKC Thunder or versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, who we'll talk about next in the second segment here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, workplace chaos. Deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you to reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed's sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We'll be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Shout out to you all. Thank y'all so much for joining us each and every day. Make sure you join the Everydayers Club. Make sure you tap in with us there, man, because we're putting out great content. I will be with you in the Discord here very soon, very shortly. So make sure if you want to hear great content from Matt Moore, great content from Ryan Blackburn, and you want to hear more from me, even just talking through the Denver Nuggets, make sure you tap in with us in the Everydayers Club. You can find the Everydayers Club at lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. You can join our Everydayers Club as a member or get all access. So make sure you tap in with us over there. So, y'all, the Denver Nuggets, again, like I said, they lost to OKC, and then they come back with another great opportunity to pull the game away. And the Nuggets lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves for the first time all year. Again, the Nuggets held OKC to 19 points in the first quarter. They then bounce back and they hold the Minnesota Timberwolves to 22 points in the first quarter. And y'all, Jokic had gotten it going. I'm like, all right, is Jokic back? He had 13 points. He had 4 assists. He was a +9, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Like, they were moving. Christian Brown had 9 points. And by the way, it's not enough of a story. It really is not enough of a story. But Christian Brown have a stretch. He has been dynamite for this team over the last couple of games. He's averaging 19 and 7 over the last 2 games, and he's played terrific defense, shooting 90% from the free throw line, now just 25% from 3. He's only 3 of 12. I think that will figure itself out. But his defense has been great, y'all. He's been moving off the ball, the cutting. Like, he's been confident too. Christian Brown is a really good basketball player. It's something I noted today on Player's Choice that I want to make sure I know now. Did you know that in this last game versus OKC, that Christian Brown basically held SGA to 1 of 6. 1 of 6 in the fourth quarter for the best guard scorer in the league easily. Maybe the best scorer in the league, period. He's been terrific. Terrific. And Christian Brown has had some really difficult matchups, whether it's Jaylen Brown, whether it's SGA, or whether it's Anthony Edwards. And Christian Brown is the primary defender in the Thunder game. He held the Thunder to 8 of 17 from the field on shots that he contested. That's good. That's really good. Love to see it. You love to see the energy and effort that he's playing with. But I think this last game, where I think it's a multitude of things that happened. But Christian Brown, he held him to 7 of 13 from the field in the Timberwolves game. But I still think his defense on Anthony Edwards was still good. I think he had good process. But what's happening is the Nuggets are playing so small. And I know if you've heard me on my platform, at Swipe a Cam on YouTube, if you've seen me on Twitter, if you heard me on Locked On Nuggets, maybe even Locked On NBA, the Nuggets playing small is a detriment to their style of play. The Nuggets playing with 4 guards on the floor or Cameron Johnson at the 4 is a detriment to how they need to play. That can't be the story. It cannot be the story. The Nuggets, quite simply, you all, are just not good enough, especially defensively and as a rebounding unit. They're not good enough for them to keep getting away with playing basketball that way. They're not. So it's simple as this, man. Like, I think another criticism that I've had for David Adelman as of late, with all the great things that he's done, is that right now Adelman is very, very, very cued in to what he has been doing all season. And I think that has affected his process. It's affected the way that he's played. It's affected the way that this team is playing. And I think that having Bruce Brown at the 4, there have been so many issues with like finishing possessions that I'm watching this team play and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, even for Julius Randle, who wasn't great in this game. He wasn't great. But it's just basic stuff. Like, Jaden McDaniel is very long. Very long. And so one of the things that happens in this game is that Jaden McDaniels is just like getting whatever he wants because there's such a length advantage that he has over everybody. Now, he also was hitting those floaters like a madman in this game. But there's a play in particular, y'all, that really rang my bell. So with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left, Denver's trying to get back into the game. They've fought back into the game at this point. They were down double digits. They're down 14 at one point, 7-point game. 2 minutes and 42 seconds left. The Nuggets have had 7-point leads that they've blown with that amount of time left. So they have a chance to get another stop. So here's what's happening. The Nuggets are doubling Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert is in the roll man position. Jamal Murray is playing the low man. Bruce Brown is playing the low man. I wish I could share this steal shot with you. Rudy then passes it off. He passes it off to Julius Randle. And thankfully, on this play, the reason why Julius doesn't get an immediate score is because Jamal plays good defense. Jokic rotates from the top of the key down to the rim and gets a block on Julius Randle. And then Julius tries to bully ball Jokic, and the ball goes straight out of bounds. And I was just sitting here like, why do the Nuggets look so small? Why are they playing so small right now? Another possession. Julius is on the low man. Again, scores 111 to 104. Jamal Murray had just made another shot. 3 minutes and 17 seconds left. 3 minutes. Jokic and Christian Brown, they trap and again. Rudy Gobert is the low man, the roll man. Again, Rudy Gobert makes a very kind of sloppy pass to Julius Randle. But who's guarding Julius Randle? Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown. And so what happens? Julius, because he has the matchup advantage, just takes it straight over Bruce Brown because Jokic can't get there fast enough. So I'm just like, I hear you. Now, Cam Johnson had a little bit of an ankle injury, so I understand why he wasn't closing there. But even with that, brother, why did we draft Deron Holmes? Why is Deron on the roster? Zeke Naji, you have him on the roster. Play him. This idea that you can play versus the Minnesota Timberwolves and play versus the OKC Thunder with Jokic, and the next biggest player on the team is Christian at 6'6", And he's guarding Ant, so he's completely away from the rim. Jokic is away from the rim because they have to trap and double. And low man is 6'4" Bruce Brown. Help me understand. What are we doing? They're too small. And that has been a problem for this team. That is not the way Denver can play basketball. And I've said this repeatedly. I apologize for getting emotional, but this is a real issue. The Nuggets, when they went small with Facu Campazzo and Monte Morris running those lineups, they also struggled for a reason. Jokic isn't that kind of defender. Now, he can do a lot of things really well. He's an elite rebounder, the best in the league, but he still needs help. It can't just be Jokic. Go get every board. So on the other side, y'all, I'm going to finish up this little rant that we're on, and then I'm going to talk about some of the good things that are actually happening. And I think there is a lot to look ahead forward to because Christian Brown, you're back, but AG and P-Walk, they should be back here very soon. We'll talk about on the other side here on Locked On Nuggets. Oh, boy. This episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. March is the time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships, in families, and in all of the unseen roles they step into every single day. Now, it's easy to celebrate that strength, but it's just important for us to make space for their emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. Now, I have many amazing women in my life. I wish we could spend more time talking to each other about our personal lives, but I have been blessed to have strong, wonderful, beautiful, determined leaders that are women in my life. And they have truly impacted everything about me. But I know that they carry a very tremendous burden. And the women in my life, they've been in therapy and they've done therapy because it's not even just for bad things, but especially when you're a high capacity person and a high capacity woman and you have a lot of great things going on, you sometimes just need help rummaging through all of your thoughts and your feelings. And so therapy is a great way to help with all that. It creates a balance. It helps set healthy boundaries, especially for a lot of you that work a lot. And it helps you support your overall well-being. With 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. Fill out a short questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. And if it's not the right fit, switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. That's betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential wins with college basketball parlay profit boost. Now, you can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits my read. Now, you can also mix spreads, totals, player props to match just how you see it playing out. I'm telling you, this is where you want to be. So make sure to head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. We'll be back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. What's going on, y'all? Here, this is the final segment for Locked On Nuggets. Shout out to you all. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets losing to OKC, the Denver Nuggets losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets with the small man rotation, the Denver Nuggets with bad secondary rotation, the Denver Nuggets not at the top of second quarters letting the game go. Letting the game go at the top of the second quarter. It is such a big deal, you all, that David Adelman himself said, I got to find people that can do the job at the top of the second quarter. I got to find a unit that can do the job at the top of the second quarter. So, y'all, I'm telling y'all, the reason why I am so effusive about this is because David Adelman is bringing this stuff up now. And I know the same thing that I'm seeing, the same thing Adelman is seeing. You can't play small with this team. You also can't keep taking the Jokic-Murray two-man game and just leaving them together, because at least you got to take Jamal out with 4 minutes left. You got to take him out with 4 minutes left in the first. Trust that Jokic can get it done with Bruce and them. And then next, top of that quarter, Jamal, you got to go get it. Because Cam, he's out tonight. Spencer Jones is out tonight versus the Jazz. So that means you got to be able to get Jamal Murray in there, run a real two-man game, run a real offense with him, Tim Hardaway, and Bruce Brown, and put Zeke Nnaji on the floor. Let it suck. Let it suck. Let it suck. Fine. But what I want people to realize, and chat, I hope you realize about me at this point, because you've known me for 5+ years. And as we've grown, I've changed. One of the things that is true is that it's not always about on, off, and the numbers and the minuses, because I know when I talk about Zeke Nnaji, it's like, look at his minutes. He was a -7 in 2 minutes versus the Wolves. But the thing that matters sometimes more than that is you got to put yourself in a situational advantage that, hey, we're going to have size and athleticism on the floor. So even if we can't score consistently, we're going to make it harder for you to score. Because Zeke is a much better defender than and he also not just individual defense. Zeke Nnaji allows for you to play a certain kind of defense when you're playing at the level, and now it's Zeke rotating over. Like, for instance, the Celtics game, when the Nuggets blew out the Celtics, Jaylen Brown had one of his very few drives in that game. He drove by, Jokic contested, but he wasn't able to get to the shot. Zeke Nnaji rolled from the opposite side of the elbow, blocked Jaylen Brown, shot off the backboard. It was like, what? Like, it's just little stuff. It's little stuff like that. The on-off isn't going to be perfect, and I know that, and I'm willing to live with that. I'm telling you all, I'm willing to live with the reality that those minutes are not going to be pretty all the time. But also what I am living with in this instance is it doesn't matter. Because what's more important sometimes is making sure that you have players to fit a role. And if your role is, hey, Thunder game, we got to close this out. We need defense. We need rebounding. That just can't. Bruce can do it at the 3, but doing it at the 4 is a whole different discussion. By the way, in this game, only a limited sample size. Only a limited sample size. In that game, Zeke Nnaji versus the Celtics only played two minutes defensively, 3 minutes defensively, held him to 0-2 from the field. Jokic in that game versus the Celtics, 14 minutes defensively, held the Celtics to 5 of 13. So what I'm telling you all is that, like, there at least is an opportunity for the Nuggets to explore utilizing Zeke Nnaji and Deron Holmes. And here is the thing. Why not? What are you waiting for? Literally, if Jonas is getting obliterated out there versus these really good teams, what is the other side of that coin with putting Zeke and Deron Holmes out on the floor together and saying, look, we might not have a lot of scoring, but what we're going to do, we're going to play 5 out. We're going to play 5 out. We're going to make you switch, and if you don't switch, we have bigs that can pick and pop. We can set down screens for Tim Hardaway Jr., we can run pin downs. We can do all kind of stuff. We can run our horn set. Like, I mean, there's so many different things you can do. We can run a double drag across and get Jamal Murray with 2 screens going across and see if we can get Zeke rolling and Deron popping out. But defensively, what it does do, it gives us an opportunity to switch everything. And we got 2 players that can defend around the rim. And this is how I know it can happen, because I watched it happen in the Cleveland Cavaliers game in Cleveland, when Denver didn't have Jokic or Jonas, and they went out and they put Deron Holmes and they put Zeke Nnaji in that game, and both of them played good defense. So I'll end it there. I'll end my soliloquy there. But y'all, this is what I will say. This is why the title is what it is. Help is on the way. On your left, Jokic and Murray. Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon are going to come back. And I want people to realize this, that the reason why people are so down on Denver, the losses are the losses. But it's also, we haven't seen the Nuggets fully healthy on the floor since November 12th. It has been January, February, almost 3-4 months. So December, January, February, March, almost 3 months, 3.5, 4 months that we haven't had the full roster. almost 4 months of basketball where the main 12 haven't been on the floor with the main 12. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? So, yes, Jamal Murray says that when we get back right, we'll be all right. And I think Nuggets fans, I think you should take the same sentiment, you all. But I want to let y'all know, Nuggets fans, I really appreciate every single one of you. I think that this has been a terrific season in some ways and a very hard season in some ways. But the good news on the other side of that mountain is that when you push the boulder over, eventually it goes downhill. And in your personal life and in basketball, if you just keep pushing forward, eventually the momentum will carry you and you won't have to carry it. But I believe the Nuggets, when they get healthy, they'll be right back. Y'all know what time it is. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. This is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. We will see you very soon. See you on the other side.